Good morning, I'm Pat Bollum with Smart Data Solutions, and welcome to another edition of Pat's Couch. Today in Pat's Couch, we have our COO, Pierre Kormann. Pierre, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
And I will give you one of these.
There we go.
Great to have you on. We're going to be talking about onshore versus offshore labor today. We've been getting a lot of requests, a lot of questions, a lot of discussion on the labor pools in the different areas. So I wanted to get together with Pierre, talk about where we're at, go through some basic questions, and if you have additional questions, by all means, reach out and contact one of us. Let's start out by talking about what do we have for onshore versus offshore facilities right now?
So offshore, we have a number of facilities that we facilitate document processing, primarily out of India, Kenya, Vietnam, and we're in the process of adding Philippines here shortly.
Okay.
For onshore facilities, we have a large office in Superior, Wisconsin, where we process a number of clients out there for their document processing needs.
Okay. And right now we seem to be getting a crazy number of requests for onshore processing. Well, why do you think that is?
Yeah, there have been a lot of requests recently. The primary driver are government mandates. The contracts that they have require onshore capture where the documents cannot leave the US. Additionally, there's a big push with Buy American and trying to preserve jobs onshore and push as much onshore as possible.
You know, and that's interesting because when you look at onshore versus offshore, our entire company is high trust certified, SOC 2 certified. We've been through all the security certifications for the last 17, 18 years. But when you look at the security we have offshore in those offshore facilities, tell us a bit about that security that we have in place.
Yeah, we essentially replicate what we have here in the US. Since we are high trust certified, all the facilities overseas or offshore have to meet the same requirements as we have locally. The same high trust requirements, which include thin clients, static IP, no hard drives, no cell phones, there's physical controls. So the same parameters we have to adhere to here, we do there as well. We do physical audits every year, annually, and we do video audits monthly to ensure that we are following the same standards and the requirements of high trust.
Absolutely. What about the idea of hybrid models where you would take what somebody would call PHI and have that particular piece, key data enter here in the US, and then other parts of a piece of collateral, a document done offshore? Tell me about some hybrid models.
So we've been able to get creative. Part of our process is to take the document and break it into snippets, which are basically each field is broken out and keyed individually. So what we're able to do is take any fields that have PHI or patient information and split those out where they can be keyed onshore and the rest can be keyed offshore. And what that gives the customers the flexibility of meeting the requirements for onshore data capture at a lower price point. Since you're with the hybrid model, you're getting the best of both worlds, a lower labor cost for the offshore piece and still protecting your requirements with the contracts for onshore.
Well, if that's the case, then tell me, what is the big difference between onshore versus offshore?
Well, obviously the biggest difference is price. The labor costs in the US are much higher than that of those overseas and offshore. That's just the reality of the business these days. It is much higher to do work in the US for this type of work. Domestically, it's cheap. Like I said, it's cheaper. They're more productive. Ironically, is
offshore. Yeah.
Offshore is more productive, and we get a higher quality as well offshore. People look at it as more of a career opportunity than just a part-time job. So there is a lot more quality, productivity, a sense of pride in the job that's being done. Onshore, aside from the higher labor rates, there's a lot more overhead that's required, a lot more direct management. There's the benefits and taxes that go into providing onshore data capture. In general, it's just a lot higher cost to do it onshore.
Okay, well, it's interesting you should bring that up because one of the things we're seeing right now is a lot of companies saying, well, I got a bid from another company where it was the same price, both offshore and onshore, even though labor rates are 15 times as high onshore as offshore. That's interesting. Why do you think that is?
That is interesting. If you just want to break it down simply, it's just not true. I've run the numbers, and if we were to do it at that rate, we'd have to pay less than minimum wage to facilitate that same price. So
far less than minimum wage.
Yeah, it's just not even feasible if you run the numbers, and it doesn't take much to figure out that is too good to be true.
And a lot of it, when you get these, when you get quotes, pull out your calculator, do some math. You know what loaded labor rates are. And you can kind of tell the difference. And also on vendors, ask to see their domestic facilities, and ask to take a peek, ask to tour them. Well, that's really all the questions we have today. Pierre, again, thank you. I appreciate your time. If you have other questions, thoughts, comments, concerns, or you want to discuss this, by all means, reach out. You can reach us anytime, any place. Thank you again. Take care. Bye-bye.